I'm Mason Mount. You're listening to the London is Blue podcast.
But we need to go ahead and look at Villa because that is the immediate task at hand. That is the match that we have to handle. We got to do some business against the villains. So it sounds like Willian and Pedro have deselected themselves. I don't even know how you say it. They've withdrawn themselves from the squad because they're out of contract. It sounds like Pedro is most likely to go to Roma. Willian is still up in the air, even though he came out very early and was like, no, I'm playing for Chelsea. I'm committed. Let's do this. Finish the season. Well, maybe his agent said, how about we not? How about we maybe don't do that? So if we assume that Willian and Pedro are probably out, which I would also say fair to them. I have no resentment. It would affect them massively financially. They need to take care of themselves. I can understand that. But what that opens up a little bit, Nick, is the Chelsea youth tweets here talking about X factors. You got Ruben Loftus-Cheek hopefully coming back healthy. Billy Gilmore was on a hell of a run. What if Tino Andrew with this extended subs bench, happens? There's just, I don't know. You gotta feel good, even if you lose veterans like Willian and Pedro. We've only got a handful of matches. Mount is a flexible player. Ruben is a flexible player. We just I don't know. We have a lot. I think we have a lot going for us, even without them.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? Like there are players that have been in contention, that haven't been in contention, prior to the break that are now back. Pulisic being one, Tammy being one, Ruben obviously coming off a long-term injury being one, Cal, going through a lot in the last 4 months, seeming to be back and ready for selection. You have a bunch of youth players who have stepped up and proven themselves, inclusive of Andrew, inclusive of Armando Broja, and all these kind of younger talents that are around. And, Lewis Bate being another one. You look at this and go, wow, Chelsea are healthy, maybe for the first time in 3 years, fully healthy. And N'Golo Kante is back training and played against QPR midweek, which is after what we saw 3 weeks ago, we didn't think that was going to happen. And I don't know, man, it's going to be fascinating to see what Frank does, knowing that, I believe Yan said this, Dan, on our last show, injuries in the Bundesliga are up 250% during their comeback, right? So none of these players are officially match fit. They're just kind of faking it till they make it.
I think because Frank Lampard at times has been the wild card in the always sunny in Philadelphia wild card situation.
Best episode,
when it comes
by the way.
to what
God
will do. I feel like Chelsea will use your match for the. I think he will use it every time, and I think it is going to be in the benefit of keeping the players healthy and being able to get this over the line. And so, my expectation is the lineup we see to start this match will include, for the most part, the players that have contributed to the success so far. But he will find a way for Ruben and others like Tino to get in that 5 sub individual group, because he's going to want to keep people as fresh as possible, because these games are going to come so fast that if you're on the edge, you don't want to risk another massive injury to a Ruben, another massive injury to an N'Golo, and miss them for the next 8 games, or miss them for potentially doing crazy things and winning the Champions League somehow. There's so much that could happen, Brandon. I think I'm going to index to the fact that Frank and the team are going to take a look at what they've seen in the Bundesliga, take a look at what we've seen in the first couple matches here in the Premier League, and bounce this appropriately. And we're going to see a lot of players. We are going to see some very interesting names come in, Lewis Bate potentially, where they have not made a Premier League appearance yet. We're going to see a couple more this season.
I don't know. I like maybe. I mean, we had to pummel Everton to get Andrew in the Premier League. So maybe. The good news is they have the opportunity, right? With extended bench, with extended subs, they at least have a better chance. The Chelsea Youth even said that they thought that Chelsea were the ones that said they wanted 9 subs on the bench instead of 7. And to be fair, we would use it before most teams. So unless you're Arsenal and you get 2 injuries and a red card. But my biggest like starting point for who's going to start, right? So if we go through a predicted 11, the first question you have to ask is it a back 3 or is it a back 4?
4.
I don't know. He doesn't like his left backs.
Yeah, that's why I think it has to be a back 3.
And that we played it a little bit towards the end. I mean, it's Villa, so maybe there's some matchup things. But, I mean, if you get Tomori, Rudiger, I think Christensen had a knock, but it might be all right. And Azpi's your back 3. Reece James is right wing back. And, I guess you can throw Alonso at left wing back.
So we should kind of say, so that the reports, and again, this could all change by the time Frank Lampard has a press conference over Zoom and someone has bombed the call. We might have different information between now and then, but Reece and Callum were the 2 players who seemed to miss out a little bit. And so I think because there's no Reece, I would anticipate a back 4 to give us a little bit more structure there. I actually think the 4-3-3, the 4-3-2-1 or 2-3-1 is kind of where we would anticipate to kind of head with the remainder of the season. I think we're going to try to keep the formation very rigid and make it easier to plug and play.
I do think it is interesting though, right? Because to me, you look at playing on the road in a obviously weird environment, regardless of if there are fans there or not. Like, it's going to be strange, right? And the fact that Chelsea does not have a kind of preferred left back in a 4 that isn't Dave. And if your scenario is right, Dan, that Reece doesn't play, then Dave will most assuredly be on the right. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting to see if Frank trusts his back 4, which I know he wants to play moving forward. Like, it seems pretty obvious to me that he doesn't want to take away an attacker to play a wing back, right?
Yeah.
It would strike me as odd if he didn't give the 3 back a shot for this first game because of just the passing angles and just getting familiar. Like, it's so much easier for the back 4, back 5 to get familiar in that formation. So I don't know. I'm still open to it. I still think it could happen, and Tomori could come in.
We'll have to. Yeah, I guess I definitely see what you're saying. I mean, let's say you have Kova, Jorginho, and Billy.
Well, Jorginho can't play.
Oh, that's right. So he's suspended. So it's probably a good chance.
Kova and Billy.
Him, Mason Mount. The middle 3. All of a sudden, that looks a lot more likely. Conte. Who knows how comfortable he is, because he only played a few. It sounds like he played limited minutes against QPR. So I don't think we should expect, N'Golo Kante to be there from the beginning. But, we've seen him play in the Europa League final on half a leg. So, wouldn't be surprised. So if you're looking at Billy and Kovacic and probably Mount in the middle, you could have Pulisic out left, Tammy up front. What do you do on the right?
Cal.
But he's had a knock. Maybe not 100%. I mean, you could put Ruben in, which would be super. No, Barkley would probably go in before Ruben. And Ruben would come in off the bench. And then you can put Mount out right.
Just name your starting 11 and stop guessing. You're up.
I'm working through it. Like, what are the other solutions or options?
Well, in my 3-4-3 scenario, right? I'll go. I think Kepa will start. I think you'll have a back 3 that is essentially Tomori, Christensen, and Rudiger. Even with a broken fingy, I think Christensen will step up and do a thing. I think you'll have Aspi and Alonso as wing backs. I think you'll have Billy and Kova in the middle, and I think you'll have a front three essentially of Pulisic and Abraham or Giroud. Still thinking Giroud has a part to play here. And then, I think probably Cal. I mean, or actually false, not Cal, Mason on the other side.
Okay.
Mason loves to play forward in a 3-4-3. I think that makes sense. So Mason's going to be my right or my left, depending on where Frank plays him.
I can see it with less depth in the midfield needed. I think Kepa will start.
Formation?
Well, that's why I'm already stuck. I already can't decide if it's going to be a 4-back or a 3-back. I really can't. Since it's one of the last formations played, I'll go 3-back. Christensen was playing quite a bit. Rudiger will play, and it's down to Tomori or Zuma. I'd like to think Tomori would play the left center back role. Alonso on the left, Aspi on the right, and then your Kovacic, Billy Gilmore 2-man midfield. And then up front, it's Tammy's to lose. I know you're thinking Giroud, but Frank's going to give it to Tammy and say, prove to me that you should be here. The second you don't, I'm bringing Giroud.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think Tammy will start, but I think Giroud will have a role to play in this run.
100%. Yeah. We'll definitely see a good amount of him, especially because you play Sunday, Thursday, and all that stuff. And then I think it'll be Mason and Pulisic on the wings. And part of it, now that you go through it, Dan, I don't know if this changes you. All of a sudden, that midfield, you're like, it almost kind of picks itself from proven players. Andrin, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, even Billy throwing him in there. You're like, yeesh. And we're jumping Barkley, who was not bad right before we stopped either. To be fair, he was also playing Liverpool and Everton, and as an Everton boy, he probably had a lot to play for.
Yeah, guaranteed to get a result out of him when it's in the Merseyside. Merseyside. Yeah, it's going to be a back four. I think it's just crazy to hear you guys both talk about a back three again. So Kepa between the sticks. I think it's Aspi, Zuma, Rudiger, Alonso. I think ahead of them you'll find the midfield of Kovacic, Gilmore, and Conte. And then I think you will find Mason, Abraham, and my one wild card I don't know. I think Ruben might make it into the starting lineup. I on the other side. I just have this weird, with the amount of photos he's been in, the dimension he brings to it, maybe he's the first sub out at 30 minutes, 40 minutes in, but just to try something a little different.
Wait, you sub him out after 30, 40 minutes?
Well, he's the one I would be most concerned about from a fitness standpoint in that 11.
Yeah.
He's the one
that's why he's a super sub.
Let's make sure he gets up to speed.
Yeah, if you're going to play him for 40 minutes, you might as well just sub him in at the 60th minute and call it a day.
So ultimately, just considering that you do have the benefit of more substitutions and you can do it across 3 times with your 5 players, that I don't know. I think you give him the opportunity to go out and regain fitness, and maybe you play him only for the first half. Then maybe it's not. You play him for 30 minutes and then kind of give him an opportunity to bring it back in. There's also the water breaks now too. So there's going to be so many opportunities to test and learn. And I feel like the thing that Chelsea has done differently and Frank has done differently this season is he has experimented in ways that have worked out and have not worked out. But I think we will be very experimental as we look to kind of play against our Aston Villa here.
No matter – I'd say just real quick, no matter what, there is flexibility. So whether you start him or not, the difference is now it is much less of a risk and a gamble to do something like that if he wants to. So it opens the door, Nick.
I think in my 3-back scenario, the most I was thinking about likely substitutions, right? I think Giroud is a likely substitution, especially early on with Tammy. I think that Ruben has to be a likely substitution. I think Tino has to be a likely substitution. You got to
didn't
go
have
down
Conte.
the list here. I think Conte has to be a likely substitution, right? So I think you could easily, if you started a 3-back and you have a comfortable 2-0, however comfortable that is for Chelsea this year, 2-0 lead going into the 60th minute, you could easily see Tomori or one of the other center backs coming off to play a 4-3-3 like Dan has originally prescribed, where Ruben slots in the midfield, or Mason drops back in because Ruben wants to go play wide because he's an absolute unbelievable athlete and can do everything. I think you can see a lot of scenarios that the formation will change and the personnel will change, and then they're going to have to figure it out on the fly, which will be difficult, right? I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. I mean, I know that everyone they see the players come on, they start to do the formation signals and whatever. It's not easy just to kind of figure that out on the fly. So it'll be weird to watch for sure.
And again, you have to take into account it's not only about what Chelsea's doing. Villa can significantly change their approach and their look as well. So, you have to react to what is in front of you just as much as try to influence the match the way you want to as well. So,
Sure.
All right. Well, guys, I don't know about you. I am pumped. I'm thrilled. Bummed I can't go to Brits. It is open, but you have to sit at tables. It's reserved. It's just not the vibe I want. So I'm probably going to be hanging out on our Discord. If anyone wants to join me, I'll be there. Nick, are you going to be able to join up socially responsible safely this match?
I'm unsure. KC Blues are doing an outdoor thing, which is better.
Yeah.
For all the reasons that we all know. I'll kind of play it by ear. We'll just kind of see how it goes.
Brits is working on getting the lawn ready, thankfully. Dan, you're in Seattle. It'll probably be raining, so I guess you're just stuck at home.
Yeah, that's all it does here.
It's the most general broad stroke generalization I've made in a long time.
And how about some coffee here as we're surrounded by the mountains?
There you go.
Nailed it.
Love it. Hey, guess what? Chelsea play tomorrow. All of you listeners out there.
We have match reviews coming back.
I know.
We haven't done a match review in 3.5 months.
What a treat it's going to be. Talk about knocking the rust off. That's kind of where we're going to be come Sunday. But it's going to be great. We're looking forward to it. Jump on the socials. Let's chat there. If you want to get into the Discord so you can hang out during the match and throughout the week, do not sleep on that. But that's going to wrap it up for us Chelsea fans. Good luck sleeping tonight. It's going to be a long one. But until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.